Speech therapists are quite often the unsung heroes of helping kids, and in some cases adults, overcoming issues with the mechanics of speech. They have an important role in their patient's development. But what happens when a speech therapist encounters a very unique patient, one whose disability actually helps give them a voice? I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and for the first interview of Author Awareness August 2022, I have the pleasure of interviewing Tricia Stone-Shumaker about her children's book and the delightful cross-beaked rooster who inspired her. Hey, happy Saturday and welcome to my channel. If you're new, glad to have you, and if you're a returning viewer, glad to have you back. You can become a channel supporter through Patreon and the merch store. Both are going to be linked down in the video description. Of course, I'll talk more about those options towards the end of this video. Of course, the fastest, the easiest, and most free way to support what we do here is by becoming a subscriber. So please make sure to click the subscribe button and smash that bell for notifications on new videos. Thank you to all those who joined my live stream this last week. I really appreciated the support, and I hope that you got a lot out of it as well. I do have another event coming up on August the 27th, as I'll be discussing how to develop hero and villain characters and how to create them and make them as realistic and memorable as possible. I'll have some more details for everyone next week regarding that lecture event and the live stream. As far as guest hosts for Season 5, I have spots filled for the top 10 book recommendations for October through February and coverage for July. That leaves March, April, May, and June open. I would love to fill those spots, so if you're an author I've previously interviewed, please hit me up. As for the next season of Author Awareness, I have 4 interviews locked in, leaving openings for February through next July. If you're an author with a recently released book, I would love to interview you during Season 5. For questions on any of these openings, please feel free to send me a direct message on Instagram or Twitter at GKJ_publishing. I met this week's interviewee at an author meet and greet back in January at the Hanford branch of the Kings County Library. Trish and Poppy were promoting the first book, Perfectly Poppy, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to have them on the show. So while I'm meandering around the Monterey Bay Aquarium, please enjoy the interview. All right, thanks Trish for joining me. So tell me about your work and what you write.
Well, I am a self-published author, and I've officially written 1 children's book. We have book 2 in the series of 3 books that will be coming out. This first book, Perfectly Poppy, is basically about my special needs chicken. He's walking around right now. When he makes it closer to me, I'll pick him up so we can see him on the screen. He has a special need. He is a cross-beaked chicken, and he was basically born that way. He has to be hand-fed 100% of the time. He can drink on his own. We still supplement with a syringe water as well. But I received my inspiration through this wonderful chicken that in any other situation probably wouldn't have survived. I learned from a Facebook support group for cross-beaked chicken moms and dads how to care for Poppy ever since he was a week and a half old. And this month he turns 2, just in about a week and a half. And so he's living even a year longer than we anticipated. He walked toward me. Hey, Poppy, look. Say hi, Garrett. So
hey,
this
Poppy.
is my inspiration. Yes. And so because of my profession, I'm a speech language pathologist, and I work with children every day that have some level of special needs. And this is the perfect way to bridge my 2 loves for speech therapy and a love for chickens. And writing this book was, in a sense, a bucket list item that I have had. There you go, I'll let you walk around. Since it was the number 2 thing on my bucket list item from about 25 years ago. And it just never happened because I didn't have the inspiration. And I did at the start of COVID. And when we had gotten our flock of 8 chicks. So finally it happened, and I ended up writing the manuscript on our way across country to New York for my son's graduation from West Point. And there was no way we could leave Poppy here. So we ended up renting an RV and drove all the way across the country with a chicken, 2 dogs, and a duck named Remy, that's in the book, that had a broken leg. We had 4 animals in the RV with us across the country. And Poppy, all of them, but specifically Poppy, has gone to 18 states.
That is awesome. That is absolutely fantastic. I mean, for one, I mean, that right there shows dedication not only to your profession, but also the fact that you have this heart for taking care of creatures and helping creatures that otherwise wouldn't be able to do anything for themselves. And that we need more of that in the world.
I fully agree. And I have this motto that it's important to remind people that even though some animal has some level of disability or of some sort, they deserve a chance. And at least I know Poppy probably isn't going to live his long, full life, which I really hope he does live a typical age span. But I've accepted that if he doesn't, I have given him the best life he can possibly have as a chicken. And he certainly has.
Well, he's a storybook star. So you said that you got into writing during the start of the pandemic. You said that this is something you've always wanted to do. How did this love for writing come about? Was this something, I mean, clearly this is something you wanted to do for a very long time, but how did you get your first start getting into it?
Well, looking back from my college years, when I was going to COS, I took my first 2 years of college over at, local junior college. And during that time, I was taking early childhood education courses. And I thought, okay, well, I could be a preschool director. Everything was typically geared toward children of some level. And I thought, you know what, I have some extra time. So coincidentally, which is where you and I met, I was volunteering my time on Wednesday afternoons at 3 o'clock, I believe, and Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. reading and volunteering with the school librarian. And I would read for story time. And I thought, how cool. I'm reading all of these books from these wonderful, amazing children's authors, and none of them are me yet. Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be so wonderful if I can read my own book? And that's where it started. It's one of those dreams that maybe a child might aspire to have. And it just stuck with me. It's like, oh, one of these days, but the inspiration wasn't there yet. So that's how it started. And then once we ended up going across the country, news got wind of it. And so our local news station got a hold of me, Liz Gonzalez, and did an interview. And then that went national, her interview with me. And then People Magazine had contacted my husband, Scott, and he had come home from work one day and said, People Magazine contacted me. And I said, oh no, you're full of it. Stop joking. No, they called me. I'm like, well, why did they call you? And how did they know your number? He said, I have no idea, but they did a search and asked if you were, if I was related to Poppy. And so they got People Magazine in touch with me, and I did an interview, and Poppy got to be in People Magazine. And shortly after Poppy was in All Creatures magazine, which is part of Guideposts, and he was also on the front page of Sentinel last year.
That's very cool. I remember
So
seeing it in the Sentinel. I thought that was a really, really neat story.
So all of that connected. At the same time, I already had my manuscript written. And during that cross-country trip over the summer, I was already interviewing, because I was self-publishing. I wasn't going to do the drawings. I wasn't going to be the illustrator. So I was already interviewing illustrators. And I found one, and her name is Kim Sponigal, and she lives in New Jersey, and she's already starting on the illustrations for book 2 this month. So all of that happened at the same time that, it hit news outlets and social media. But regardless of that, the book would have happened either way, whether it got news coverage or not. It was something I just wanted to do for me, and it wasn't ever about money. It was about a bucket list item and a goal. And now it's really improved to becoming a platform for inclusion, special needs population in both people, humans, and animals, specifically chickens.
Well, and I think that's pretty fantastic. I mean, especially considering the fact that you work with kids. There are a lot of kids who, for whatever reason, whatever their circumstance is, whatever is impeding their ability to talk, or maybe it's something else entirely, they become self-conscious about that. And this gives them encouragement to see that what is different about them is not necessarily a weakness, but a strength. What has been one of the hardest parts or the biggest challenges that you've faced in the creation of this story and the books that you're currently working on?
Oh my goodness. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm very type A. I like things like timely. And I know you probably know this. That doesn't happen.
No.
Are there delays? Oh my goodness, you better believe there's going to be a delay, and it is out of your control. And that's one thing that has been so difficult for me. But maybe that's why I need to go out and get inspiration from the animals, how they're just at peace. Okay. So yeah, for me, I have learned a big lesson, and that is accept what you cannot control. And if there's a time issue, eventually the next phase will begin. And that has happened in the Perfectly Poppy book, the Perfectamente Poppy, the Spanish edition, the coloring book, and now we're on book 2, which is titled Patiently Poppy. It has happened every single time, and I have to believe that maybe if I put a timeline, or we have a schedule, I probably should expect, if you have dinner at 6 o'clock, but someone's always late, tell them dinner's at 5. So maybe that's what I need to do.
That's what we've had to do with my mom. I mean, she's perpetually late, and the only thing I ever see her be on time for is her nail appointment every other week. So, and I'm not throwing her under the bus. I love my mom. She's absolutely terrific. But yeah, there've been a couple of times where we're like, yeah, we need to have dinner at 5 o'clock, knowing full well she's going to be an hour late. I'm
going to rotate it a little just so I could talk with you. And Poppy's hanging out with Maisie right now too. So.
Oh my goodness. I almost didn't realize that there's another bird.
I know she blended in with the blanket. I realized that I didn't introduce you to her, but you've met Maisie. Yes. Remember, everyone was holding her over at the last event in January.
Well, at first, when I first saw her at the library a couple months ago, I thought, well, that's a really, really small alpaca.
She looks like a Muppet. She's like an original Muppet. Here, let me put her into the camera so you can see. Hold on a second.
Oh my gosh.
Say hi to Garrett.
Hi there.
Oh, you're going to flap your wings. Hi.
She's so fluffy.
Total Muppet, huh?
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic.
So as far as answering your question, yes, I think that the time deadlines and knowing that they almost never get met and there's some delay for one reason or another is to accept it. And it's not like a life or death situation. Things end up happening eventually.
And it's also good advice, which actually kind of segues me into the final question. If you could give any advice for other would-be authors out there who are tuning in and watching this, what would you say to them?
Oh my goodness. I thought that my path would be, I'm going to find an awesome publisher and see if they'll pick up my book. And to realize, you know what, I think I could do this myself. And I've joined some support groups. So that would be the first thing. Number one thing, you can self-publish. You can do this. Don't rely on a big publishing company that might end up taking potential dreams away, maybe your ideas away. If it's something that's your goal is to find a publisher, great. But if you want to have your ideas met and seen come to fruition, then self-publish. You totally can. And join support groups for authors, connect with other authors, have support groups locally, people that you can connect with and realize, hey, you're not the only one that's experiencing this. Almost like and their parents with autism that I work with, they're not the only ones that are going through this. Find support groups. And it's the same with authorship. And so that would be probably one of the biggest things. You can self-publish, research it. If there's a financial aspect involved, you could probably do a Kickstarter and see if you raise funds that way. People are willing to help make dreams come true. Absolutely. And absolutely, you can self-publish. Yes, you can.
That is great advice, because I self-published. Financial aspects have always been an issue for me because I work as a teacher. We don't make a whole lot. And so, I think that is definitely great advice. You're probably the first self-published author that I've interviewed that has made that comment, because a lot of the times the authors I interview, they say, write for yourself, or, write what you want to write, or, find a group that'll help you, work on what you're developing. And this, I think, is probably really helpful, because there are a lot of self-published authors out there who are probably worried that they're not going to do well, or that they're going to struggle, or that they don't have what it takes. And the truth is, as much hard work as it requires, it's definitely worth doing. All right, well, Trish, as we're getting ready to wrap up, how can people find you? How can people get a hold of copies of your work?
I have a website. Well, I should say Poppy has a website. It's poppythechicken.com. He has social media pages. For Facebook, it's Poppy's Adventures. And for Instagram, it's Poppy's Adventures with the number 1 at the end. They can, if they want to get the book, they can go on Amazon and pick up the book that way. Barnes & Noble has it. Even locally, if you're in the area, you can even check them out at the local libraries, which have the book, as well as Barnes & Noble's over in River Park in Fresno. They carry the book in their store as well. So hopefully that helps, and I appreciate any support.
Absolutely. Well, Trish, thank you for coming on the show. It was great having this conversation with you.
Oh, I enjoyed seeing you again, and I'm going to bring Poppy to the camera so he can have an official hello and goodbye to you. Look at that. You can see his beak.
Yeah. Oh, he's a handsome man.
Yes, you are, huh? Say nice to see you again, Garrett.
Nice to see you too, Poppy. If you're interested in connecting with Trish and Poppy, or picking up a copy of Perfectly Poppy, those links can be found down in the video description. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so on Patreon through one of 3 affordable support plans. Patrons get access to blooper reels, behind-the-scenes videos, and so much more. You can also buy sweet merch from my store on Teespring, which you can then turn around and rep on Instagram and Twitter by tagging me at GKJ_publishing and using the hashtag 5kingdomsmerch. Or you can sign up for the free poster giveaway. All links are down in the video description, and I will announce a winner for the poster when I hit 200 YouTube subscribers. Make sure to tune in next week for the second interview of the 2022 Author Awareness August Marathon. This one will be featuring dark fantasy author Jason R. Koivu, who is from the Central Valley just as much as I am. The vlog of the 5 Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience, at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.